Welcome back, guys. Another SoDead. We are back. Still in this long weekend in the US here, but let's get it started. All right, we're going to jump right in to checking out the charts on Bitcoin. But before I do that, some pretty big news. A few major movers like BlackRock have made some pretty interesting and lucrative investments into different exchanges, one of them being Kraken and possibly another major exchange. I'll talk about it in a little bit. I also want to do a little bit of catching up on some news that I didn't get to bring up in the past few days. We also will look at some other charts and see where we're at with our overall Elliot Wave on the Bitcoin and what's it looking like long term. All right, so let's get it started. Please, if you guys like my content, I've been doing some NFT TA on various Solana NFTs. So if you like that, please let me know. Hit that subscribe button and like my videos. Okay. So right now we're looking at the Bitcoin difficulty versus mining profitability. So here you can see as profitability goes down and all the while Bitcoin difficulty increases, you can kind of you can see clearly where profitability starts to peak. You have a turnaround on difficulty because supply starts to increase on exchanges. And then you see where prices begin to reverse on a major trend here on profitability. Bitcoin's being held, hits the market, and comes back down when miners sell. Miners are arguably some of the largest holders and accumulators of Bitcoin. And here you go. We have the two major peaks here. Right now, we're seeing difficulty continue to climb. Profitability continuing to go down as price takes a dive. This is likely, a lot of this has to do with macro world economics and a lot of the political issues going on. At some point, we'll see a major turnaround in here. And I'm going to make a compelling argument, I believe, on why we're rounding that corner. And could we have already started to round that corner? Let's look at what we've been mapping out here on this show. I've added a little bit better look at identifying our Elliot waves here, but I haven't changed anything that we've been doing here together. A lot of these, or all of these resistance lines and these trend markers in the perforated on the resistance levels have been here for more than a week. So we've been mapping this out together and it's following along really nicely. And so you see here we have a 5 wave up, mark the 5 here at the top. And I made a few arguments as to where we could possibly be on the downside, because we're clearly on the corrective side of this peak. So we're splitting this in half, and now we're on the corrective side here on this side on the right. And we can look at it in a few different ways. But overall, I believe if we are looking for a 5 down or a C down, we still have to keep in mind that we've already entered into the first wave where we need to be for the long-term C position on the Elliott, or the 5th wave down on the shorter term. And we've entered here. If this is on the C and the C has ended here and we are in fact turning up from the bottom, then C has entered nearly nearly less than 8% into the first wave, which, you know, charts aren't going to map out perfectly, but that could have just given us enough edge. And you can see somewhat here that this was actually a resistance line that we mapped out. So, and I did mention about 4 or 5 shows ago, about a week ago, that we'd be bouncing around in this range here. And we've actually ended up treading this resistance line at 2,000 about for quite a while. So if we're expanding on this flat here, we're leading into what could possibly be a new impulse market, as we've been talking about here, or we're on the impulse side of the corrective side of action, as highlighted in this highlighter. And we see here, if we want to take another view at it, we have the A down, B up, and C down. Could this have been the bottom for C? Or did we already complete wave 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. And now we saw the 3 up completed. And now we're looking for the second 5 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, and waiting for this 5th to complete. In both of those circumstances, those are going to take us into wave 1. And it should take us into wave 1 if we're looking for that to finish off. So that's exciting news. You know, we're in an exponential market here, and so we should be expecting, if you look at the wave flaps here, we should be expecting a compression of time. And just eyeball alone, and I'm not going to base anything off of that, but we are flattening out here. If you take a look at our triangles, we are flattening our sails here, and we are ready to embark on a new journey. When can we set sail? When can we break that champagne glass? We're looking like, if we need to go down a little bit more, I'm gonna say we're looking for 13,000 on the lower end, a lower 13,000, a high 12,000. If we want to meet this resistance, we had a worst case scenario mapped out here, although I think this is a very conservative resistance. But we're looking for this 5 to go a little deeper into 1, but don't expect too much deep dive into 1. We are going to slingshot out of this, guys. And we talked about here on the show that September and October is typically seen as bad months for financial markets. And if you've been following Soul Days here, you know, the least likely is likely what's going to happen, especially in investing. And I think that's the turnaround that we need, the indication that we need to let us know that we could be rounding around on this table here. Oh my, how the turntables. Office joke. I know it's tables have turned, guys. But we're looking at a clean map here. So what I'm talking about is if we had this mapped out as a 5 up, and we're looking for a 3 down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, and where's this 3 going to end? Or did it end here? Right? If it ended here, you see that going across on the perforated line, we did cross into wave 1. Was it enough? Based on the fib ratios, it could have given us just enough to edge off a few percentage points and make the cut. And it coincidentally marks a somewhat soft resistance here. Strong and soft, however you want to slice it. That's about a $2,000, $2,500 difference here from what could be wave one peak. So did we do it, guys? Did we do it? Did we make it out of this bear? Was it a bear? Are we still in for more here? If you really want to follow the charts to the T, we are looking for a little bit of more eating away at this one. However, this could be, we're looking for what's going to happen right now. These are the most critical moments, actually. So we're looking for what happens now. If this wave makes a clear indication that we're on a 3, or we're starting a new trend, and the market has actually indeed reversed, and we're going into that impulse market, that outside of corrective impulse market, we could have, in fact, rounded out this bottom, this downtrend, and we're ready. We're ready to move, making big moves, and we actually we're starting to see the market show some nice activity and respond to the opportunity that's being given. You know, every little buy impulse market, it's going to make a little bit of a difference here. And some major movers, low caps tend to lead the market and lag the market, and we're seeing that. You know, Luna Classic isn't just another low cap coin, and not a lot of coins have a strong narrative. You know, a lot of people got burned by Luna, but it's interesting because a lot of the Luna chain, the original Luna chain, is intact, and Luna Classic was able to merge really nicely. Terra Station wallet works fine. The new burn calculator is working right off chain. Everything aggregates really nicely. All the on-chain data, or most on-chain data, seems, at least from an outside perspective, or you know, a consumer perspective, is working. So it could be a matter of existing platforms that are still on the Terra chain and haven't fully moved off, or allocated resources elsewhere. Mirror, Anchor. If those platforms decide to stay and mint new tokens on Luna Classic, or if just development continues to decide that they want to stay on Luna Classic, this is looking like it wants to really do something here. You know, based on speed resistances and the thirds that's being drawn out here, it's not really showing any signs of giving up. So we'll see. We'll see what the Luna Classic community wants to do with this coin. But staking continues to build. The burning is working. The pre-burn is working way better than was anticipated. It looks like we're burning about, on an average, 1,000 or 1 billion Luna Classic a month, but that's rounding it off an average, where it started off really slowly for the first 3 months, beginning from the end of May of this year. So this is not a call to buy or an incentive to make an investment here on those stats alone. What you want to do is look at the metrics and see if it's comfortable for you. This is a low cap entry, so the more you play off of your initial investment, the better these knocking off zeros are going to do for you. Here we take another look at the 1 hour. So 1 hour is red. All right, let's jump into Sol. So same thing with Sol, but Sol is showing a little bit more green here on the Bitcoin chart. But either way, whatever we're trying to do, we're looking for a stronger downturn into the one. Can't make too much of an exception for Solana here, unfortunately. But we really don't need to, guys, because Solana itself also has pulsed into the early waves already. However, if this is a more clear indication as to what Bitcoin needs to do, Solana and all other coins aside from Bitcoin, because we know that Bitcoin does it first and then the rest will follow as of right now, that will likely eventually change. But for now, the rest of the market is following Bitcoin's lead. And so unfortunately, we are, if it is Bitcoin's turn to make this move, we're going to look for some liquidity to move out, possibly go into Bitcoin and take us down some more, unless you're considering this a wave one, which I have mapped out here, and this is your two here. Then guess what, guys? Solana already ate about close to 40 or 50% into wave one. So we may have bottomed out, and we're ready. And this could be on the leg up here already. In which case, yeah, we're looking for something really nice to happen, an absolute slingshot to occur here. And I don't know if it's much of a coincidence, but Solana NFTs have been, over the past few weeks, a couple of recent events have really slowed down Solana volume, stalled it out. The raffle that was supposed to be occurring today is one of them. But I do believe that we're going to move past that point, and there'll be much more opportunities for Solana NFTs, and we'll get into it at the end. But could that have been what we've been looking for? Could we have already seen that? Could this be what we needed here? And we're not, in fact. We've already concluded wave 5 down. Do we need another wave 5? No, we don't, right? So we had our 5 up, and now we're looking for the ABC. All right. So a lot of news to signal that we're in that bottom bowl. We're bowling up, guys. And a lot of the most negative news will come out, and it'll hit hard. But confidence is mostly gone. Confidence is pretty shaken. Now people who are here, this is when you start to lead the market and invigorate that confidence again, right? So what usually ends up happening in the bottom of the bowl is a lot of the macro, a lot of that outside noise starts to take over, and you got to dig a little bit to find the development growth that's happening actually on the blockchain and various networks. Not a lot of people are going to be excited about pre-sales and new coins, new opportunities. They're going to be looking at what they've been doing to survive the market is consolidating and reinvesting, right? Going where they believe in it to be, believe in it to be lucrative, fruitful, in other words. Yes, not much has been super lucrative lately, but it will be. All of this grinding is going to pay off at some point, right? And I think time is now. So here we have a little bit of a turning point, though, with the political news, right? A little bit of noise actually sounding off here and playing in tune. So Liz Truss, super pro crypto. Interesting female leader. she probably has a lot more issues at hand with the projections on inflation happening with UK, and trying to sort through a lot of separation anxiety of the UK from the rest of Europe. But this could be huge in allowing, or at least making it easier for UK people to participate in crypto. Not that, United Kingdom, not that Brits aren't really already part of the ecosystem really strongly, but on the surface level, this could make it a little bit more identifiable for people and new users to get in. Here we go. So, mining pools, Bitcoin mining. We looked at liquidity, profitability just a moment ago with Bitcoin, and where profitability goes down, that usually takes difficulty with it. But we're seeing a weird sort of phenomenon that tends to really build up pressure, is where difficulty is increasing, but price continues to dive, so profitability goes down, which means miners are likely still just holding, right? And they're waiting for profitability to go up. We could see what would attribute to some volume rounding off, which indicates a bottom bowling, is that profitability starts to increase slightly, and you have increments of sell-off from miners and other institutions, and that results in a buffering of volume spikes, and so you have a rounding off of the bottom bowl. And here, this is really vocalizing that loss of profitability for miners, right? In that liquidity is becoming scarce for mining. And so some miners are facing what is being highlighted in this article as some financial issues, which is resulting in longevity of the mining market, but in the short term, providing opportunity for new investment and new investors, and unfortunately, a stronger business practice in the mining ecosystem. And so, if companies are beginning to lack liquidity, then they're finding it harder to provide infrastructure. So in other words, buying hardware, buying software that'll make their business run more smooth. In other words, assets on mining has become a little bit more risky. That will only lead to a stronger infrastructure in the mining ecosystem, because Bitcoin is going to turn around here. Profitability will increase. Price will go up. All right, so a little bit of backtrack. A little bit of backtrack over the couple of days we've been away, but huge news for BlackRock. Investing, as I mentioned, for one, Kraken, and the big one being Coinbase. So, will BlackRock begin to team up with the likes of Coinbase? We see here the world's largest asset manager, BlackRock, is going to team up with the exchange Coinbase on the exchange side to provide management feasibility. In other words, they're going to provide Coinbase with quite possibly access to treasury. So, you can make the argument that BlackRock is a clear indication that that the financial market is heading into crypto full force. If BlackRock is getting involved with Coinbase, which is a really high-profile crypto project, one of the few public companies in crypto, it's more or less safe to say that if you're looking at getting into crypto, now these sorts of indicators are now making it pretty clear that the financial market is looking at crypto seriously, at least as an investment opportunity, and that should be more than what you need to know at the early onset of crypto's growth. But of course, you want to look into this a little bit more. But really interesting. So more news from a few days ago. David Rubenstein, co-founder of Carlyle, one of the most successful investment pools out there on the public side, private side and public, as far as offering management services. He's expressed several times, and he's done it again here, and it could be a little bit of a lead market. So just kind of messing with you because he's already out or looking to get in. But this is a little bit of a looking to get in type of news here. And so he's saying that he messes around with crypto on his personal time, with his personal money. Is he one of those NFT buyers in Discords talking that smack out there, LFGing, emoji fires? Maybe not, but he did say that since younger generations are working hard to create fresh ideas, foster infrastructure, and guide financial markets into the sunset and onto Mars, onto the galactic universe. He thinks that's where it's happening, and it's here in crypto, right? And so he believes that blockchain related investments are associated with over dramatic FUD. And so he's more or less suggesting that you should be looking into crypto right now as far as investments are concerned. And so yeah, if you guys missed this, probably not, but Japan's prime minister is addressing with a few initiatives, looking at really easing up on crypto taxing and ramping up crypto incentive. He's made it, Japan's prime minister has made it pretty clear that he feels like enough companies have left Japan to headquarter elsewhere based on their somewhat really tight crypto taxing. You're subject to 30% on your tax gains unrealized. So it doesn't even require you to sell if you realize gains but haven't sold, so they're unrealized. To actually make that profit, you're still going to get taxed on it up to 30%. And so Kishida wants to prevent that and provide for more Web3 activity in Japan, and also allow individual investors, not just crypto, stock side as well, to really do well. And one of those ways is to provide benefits on the tax side, or at least ease taxing. And he's mentioned in side comments that he wants to remove taxing on individual investors completely. However, it will be dependent on what they're making as far as income from other jobs. So if you're 100% crypto investor, it could be likely that you're looking at possibly paying zero taxes if your main income is crypto. However, if you have a good job outside of crypto, you could be subject to about 15%, as high as 15% taxing. So go ahead and look into that. But really interesting. Could see a nice influx of crypto investors moving to Japan. I don't know, but if they start doing real estate incentives, could be pretty interesting. And so here you go, another news. BlackRock taking a subsidiary move into crypto and offering that portion of a treasury with Kraken exchange. So BlackRock, again, similar to the partnership with Coinbase, could be making clients available to Kraken as well. I'd like to see a partnership with crypto.com, but regardless, this is major news for crypto, in my opinion. And here you go. You see what's being considered crypto facilities being affiliated with now Payword, which is a Kraken Kraken affiliate. All right, guys. Let's move on with a little bit more news here. So, yeah, Shiba's burning, but it ain't burning that much. I would like to see a lot more Shiba burned. This article is probably talking about the 1 billion that got burned recently in one major move, but overall, I don't believe that Shiba's burning enough to really crack into the total supply, which is in the hundreds of trillions, to really make a meaningful difference. However, what will make a meaningful difference is the recent announcements of the launching being ready for the Shibaverse and Shibarium, and that will be massive for Shiba, because Shiba's already got an extremely deep and interesting DeFi ecosystem. You know, we know, if you're familiar with Shiba, we know of Leash and Bone. Leash doing really well. Bone starting to really turn around here. Bone would have been a really nice entry about a month or two ago. Even really right now. We do know that Shiba is going to be one of the available coins on the Binance Pay card. That's going to be huge. So it could be that Satoshi was looking, or held off rather, on implementing that major burn. That major burn that was being rumored to have happened at the earlier part of this year, unless it's still coming. But he may have likely had these major partnerships and the metaverse slated to launch around this time in the pipeline already. So he could have been waiting for those moments, and then we'll use a second round of marketing hype to, not bad hype though, second round of a second win of news following these major moments, these major events for Shiba, to introduce the burn mechanism. But we'll see. And this is so pretty interesting too. Binance announcing they're not going to be backing USDC on their platform anymore. You can still, according to CZ, you will still be able to trade USDC, any existing USDC freely. However, they're going to start moving away from USDC on Binance officially. So that could mean, USDT is going to be sticking around. And we talked about Luna Classic at the beginning of this show. Luna Classic's already been supported by Binance. Some of the major ones named here: Binance, KuCoin, Crypto.com. Recently, you saw CEX and MEXC exchanges pledging to burn their supplies and burn any transaction or percentages of transactions on their exchange. Major news. We're also seeing it's not just the burn that's really causing price, it's really volume. It's volume candles that are buying in. So people are actually, by volume, per volume, buying into Luna Classic right now. And you also have this burn mechanism being introduced, the proposal initiated by Vegas and being backed by the Strong 12, the development team, on September 12th. Gonna be really interesting to see how effective Luna Classic's burns can be. More news on Shiba. So I do believe that gaming, metaverse, low caps tend to provide some indication on where the market is headed. They usually start to move when there's confidence entering the market again. And we talked about confidence being at an all-time low, so any kind of impulsivity in the market is going to have a noticeable effect. And so we're seeing here SIA coin and SIA cash start to do something here again, and that could likely be, by several degrees removed, having a lot to do with metaverse and GameFis. So a lot of these metaverses, they're going to look for options on storage and storage utility. They're going to need a lot of data processing and on-chain storage. So this could be an indicator, an early indicator that confidence is going to start really marking up prices in those sorts of areas, metaverse, GameFi, and then we'll start to see DeFi and we're seeing low caps already really show some strong initiative. So we see here, see a coin starting to move. It could be, long-time crypto investors who know the market reads, institutions who are, very insightful. It could be infrastructure whales, on the development side, miners who know where markets are going to head because they're, in other words, more or less creating the market. This could be speaking loud and clear when you're getting to less known storage opportunities. That's what's happening. Here's an article on the Shiba burn, what's happening with it. We saw it earlier on Apex Crypto, lumped in with some other news. But yeah, so getting a final read on Bitcoin, looking at our metrics. So net flow overall started to move today, but mostly showing negative value. But on the 7-day, according to this, 7-day is up, and the 24-hour is up. Reserve side starting to pick up again, and I think that has a lot to do with difficulty, but price dropping. Pressure is mounting. We have capitulation being subdued here. Got transactions starting to really ramp up on the 24-hour, especially. Active addresses more or less staying steady. Transfer volume, so people are moving. People are really, really being active right now on the Bitcoin network. I like to see Korea's premiums sort of round off. I think this could be also a nice indicator on market returning to confidence. So what I mean is like rounding off by like getting closer to one less than 1.12. Yeah. So we see some massive treasury moves from major players like BlackRock. So these treasuries could start to take some major dominance back from the market, and that would likely lead to what I was mentioning with Solana and other coins, other major coins in the market. Start to see that final leg complete a little bit more, unless if it hasn't already completed. And I think this is maybe somewhat of an indication that that leg on Solana. If you're looking for a more definitive answer, this might be an indication that because Bitcoin needs to take back a little bit more dominance, that Solana leg does need to finish off a little bit before we start to see a major turnaround for Solana. However, this is different times. This is an exponential market, but that could be indicating here. And I don't think it will take very much, though. It won't last very long if it happens. So if you're looking to make an immediate move, you want to watch what's happening with the Bitcoin dominance, because that could be the real indicator of the turning and where the bull starts to round up again. All right. Yeah. So what do you guys think? Where are we headed with crypto? I think this is reaching a major turning point. All right, so let's take a look really quickly at what's going on in Solana NFTs. As I mentioned, Magic Eden, Solana NFTs overall, seeing some really nice volume. Over the weekend, kind of slowed down with some anticipation for some really big events coming up. But if without that being sort of putting the market on hold a little, people holding liquidity to see what happens, see if they can make secondary maybe, we will see, we're still seeing a steady market holding some decent volume. And yeah, so we could look at a nice turnaround. Bearmarket Beavers, we mapped that out earlier, sitting really nicely. I wasn't able to share what I mapped. For some reason, I accidentally removed my charts. So what I'll do is I'll try and copy them exactly as I drew them out earlier on the other show, so I can give you guys a clear indication of how accurate, for one, the charts are here, which is going to be really fun. But if you watched the other last show or two where I did map out on the show the NFT bear market Beavers and where it might be headed, yeah, you know, our pitchfork was channeling really nicely, and we were looking at a mid-range of about 8 and possibly on the lower side a 0.67, and that's actually exactly what's happening here. And you can see the trend mark or trend line on the bottom is conservatively showing us that that's about where we are right now if we were to bottom here on this trend line. But these channels, if this earlier when I was looking at it, I was thinking that this needs to come down for us to be indicating sort of bearish channel trends here. So maybe you do want to look to follow this trend line, but I think that we will likely bounce on this if we don't break it right away. You see how the bull here took shape. See if we can follow that off. Yeah. So we've seen some nice spikes. Usually these are going to do opposite, right? If you watch my other video on the other world, I was indicating that this was looking like this was going to do that and come down. So we'd have a spike here, which results in this, right? When these work against each other, when they cause friction, you see this. And so I drew out where I thought that was going to happen, or at least not where I thought it was going to happen, but where I was saying that it could be happening there. And if it does, then this would result. But it didn't. It actually stayed sort of flat. So these are going to be lagging indicators. So if you can read ahead at least as far as price goes. But even if it turns down, you know, you're going to have to really zoom in to get a better read on it. But yeah, you can see how these correlate there. So if this is traveling up, although it could pull back down and this will log out, but this is more or less suggesting that this will continue to round off here on the bottom, which is giving us some somewhat bearish channels. I don't think it'll last long. We'll see. It's NFTs. Anyway, awesome, strong moves for bear market beavers. Really cool. Tsuki no Neko pumped really nicely a couple days ago. Then it pulled back pretty hard again. Down, yeah. So from 0.04 up to near 0.2, and then back down about a 50%. Or actually, if you come from this trend up, this move run, it's about 100% pullback. And then now we have a 50% retrace here. So nice. Overall, looking very similar to the bear market beavers in that the channels are taking a downturn. So I'll try to copy. I lost the other world chart that I built for the show that I published on YouTube yesterday, focusing on the other world TA, but it is bringing. But so what was mapped out was indicating that we wouldn't break that resistance from 2 days ago. We'd have to try again yesterday. On the low side would be, I believe, the average would be about 1.1, which is about what we were hitting there almost. And if we didn't break or get near that 1.4 resistance, it'd take us back into the lower third triangle. And I believe this probably bottomed out of the bottom of that triangle, because that bottom triangle was about 0.6-ish area. But I'll remap it and we'll look at it, see what kind of indication we got from that reading that day. I thought it was a really interesting snapshot of the market prior to the Utes raffle, which is happening today. But yeah, so we're definitely in the lower third of that map. All right, Cowboys though, continuing to trend along that line. Again, yeah, I lost that map too for crypto Cowboys. But going forward, I'll figure out a way to save those charts so we can always review them later. But I believe what was being indicated on the crypto Cowboys that we'd trend in an angle, a fan that was fanning out right there. So if we're going to use our third principles, we want to find a nice trend that we can use to indicate clarity. Make sure it has meaning by looking at the history. I think this is probably a clear indicator right here. This behavior is mapping out really nicely. We don't have too much diagonals leading up to what's happening now, which might be suggesting that Cowboys continue to move up here, right? So, yeah. Usually you want to use trend angles. So you want to match degrees because you're always trying to build a matrix on a third. In other words, you're going to have 3 triangles. If one starts at 56, if you think this is the center of the triangle, then you need to have equal angles divided by 3. So And then I'm going to want to find an angle that crosses this section here, right, to complete the third. So if I think that's sound, no, I don't. But yeah. Maybe that's a little bit more clear. So 28, about half of 55, approximately. We'll just run with that, be really quick. So you could want to break this, you go over, you could trend here, or make this up here. What's likely going to happen though on these sort of diagonals is that we hit here, build some pressure. If we can't touch this continually, breaking down again to form off that lead triangle, which will likely have a resistance around here. You don't want to do this pressure wedging because there's no indication. You got to check the history for an indication, and even then you want to use thirds. But yeah, so that could end up taking us there. But I do believe that there's some strength with crypto Cowboys. So on the upside, I'm looking forward to this. However, we'll see if we can break. Let's try to break this right now. We'll see if we can do it. I'll keep this map. I'll do my best to keep this chart here. Oh, this is one I just slapped together. But all right. And one last one, guys. This is really interesting. So I wanted to pull this one out the hat at the very end. I'm trying to learn more about it, but I thought it was so interesting that I just kind of wanted to share it with you guys. If you don't know already, Punkz Universe has been on the major move, and a lot of that could be attributed to what this team is building, which is the Elixir NFT.io. So extremely interesting. What they're doing is they have an infographic here of SudoSwap pool, but as you know, SudoSwap's Ethereum. I don't know if they have a certain collection on here. I asked a question here. I asked they have a certain question. Collection on here that's attributed to the Elixir platform that's being used as a pool to back a fAMM, a floor auto moneymaker. And I believe what's happening there is that they have that pool, or they have a pool somewhere. I'm not sure if it's on SudoSwap. I can't find it. And SudoSwap is Ethereum, so it could be an Ethereum-backed pool behind this platform, where the arbitrage is being vaulted and provided for by that pool, and this platform will floor pieces from a collection. This being Burrito Boys, it'll floor one of the Burrito Boys based on the ME project listing. So when ME's floor dumps or drops, so this is at 0.13 now, which will cause this floor on this side to go lower. However, it could also reverse. So when this auto moneymaker probably needs money to take back for the pool, to re-enter the pool, or when the pool is growing and it wants to get transactions back, so it's sending out vaulted money on the arbitrage, it'll increase. And that could be what's happening here. So how you benefit is that you buy one of these floors at a lower cost on what's listed on ME. Sometimes you see a pretty massive difference in floor here. 0.11 is not too off from 0.13, but you might get the idea. So if you buy here at 0.11, you know, this is a higher floor. So you buy at 0.11 and you list it at 0.12 and you make that arbitrage. What's meaningful about this is that how that arbitrage is being platformed. So it's being platformed by an AMM, and it's working off of a pool that's already vaulted, or possibly vaulted if it's on SudoSwap, and that's what's backing the AMM, which allows for arbitrage buying continuously on an affiliated project. So only these collections are available right now on this platform. I think a couple of them were added since I started using, but Burrito Boys being the lowest entry on here provides for some really nice entry level trading action. And then you see OK Bears and Catalina Mixer. I think this is extremely interesting because this will really ramp up volume on certain projects. And I don't know if Discord bots actually recognize the sales on this. So it's a bit discreet as well. And yeah, I thought this was really interesting. I was a little worried about causing an influx on this market, and I'm not sure how it's going to affect the AMM on this side. But let's check the Catalina whales on Magic Eden. So whales have a 38.5 floor. Elixir's floor is 32.7. What's going to happen is you buy this whale here at 32. You list it at 37. You could possibly make around 4 to 5 SOL. That's that. ABC on here. What do you guys think? Really cool platform. I highlighted Builders Collective too, which is doing something really interesting with Epic style. So really interesting times ahead, especially if we're starting to run out the market. And are we starting to head into a bull? Saw a lot of people fade away from this market. So it's going to be really interesting to see what this ecosystem, Solana NFTs and crypto looks like when we start to pump it again. But I'm looking forward to it. I hope you guys had fun on this show. If you like this show, like what like how I'm presenting the news, how I'm spinning it, let me know. Subscribe, like. Thank you guys. Trade safe. Have fun. See you out there.